So, what do we know so far? 7 Brits are dead and 9 are missing as the war continues in the Middle East.
Yes, British citizens continue to be caught in the conflict, and it has been confirmed that a 13-year-old British girl named Yahel, missing in the Hamas attack, has been confirmed dead. We understand 2 of her family members, too, are still missing. Her sister, only 16 years old, and her Israeli father, Eli, missing too. Shall we speak to Chip Chapman, who's still here with us? Extraordinarily concerning for those who have family and friends in Israel, those who have been taken hostage by Hamas. We now have this young girl confirmed dead. How is the situation as you see it in terms of getting those hostages back from within Gaza? A very difficult task.
Well, the Israeli War Cabinet has said there's 4 tasks. One of those tasks is getting the hostages back. The fact that they haven't done the ground invasion of Gaza yet is actually a good thing in terms of trying to do intelligence development to try and locate and find those hostages. And one of the things which happened overnight was the Israelis offering $250,000 for information from those who are in Gaza on tactical tip-offs, as it were, of where they are. So that's another string to the bow, because it'll also be technical and other human intelligence means to do that. Of course, it's worrying because the Israelis and hostages are a toxic mix. I mean, for example, one of the main leaders killed the other day was one of the 1,000 released for one Israeli soldier previously. And the history of hostages in Israel is such that, for example, Operation Thunder in 1976, 108 hostages released. It was Netanyahu's brother, Yoni Netanyahu, who was the only killed in action on that raid to secure them in Uganda.
This British family that we were just talking about, that Emily was just pointing out, Noya is the older daughter, who's 16. Eli's the father. They are still missing, the family are reporting. The mother, Leanne, we know was killed in this attack on a particular kibbutz. And Yahel is the daughter, the 13-year-old, this beautiful young teenager, having her life stolen away from her on a peaceful Saturday in Israel. Do we know, Chip, how many other British people might have already lost their lives, that we're still going to find details emerging about?
I think you will find details emerging, because although it's now, almost 10 days on, it's often difficult to get true fidelity on these things. All death diminishes us on both sides, but it's difficult to find these. And there is a thing about non-combatant immunity, where the very young, the very old, the sick and the infirm should be protected from war on both sides.
And of course, our Foreign Secretary was over in Israel a couple of days ago. There'll be lots of diplomatic work going on behind the scenes, won't there, in order to locate these hostages to locate people who are British in Israel who want to come back to Britain. Yeah,
I think the Qatari access is quite important here, their intercession as a sort of soft power to try and see if they can get leverage over Hamas, because some of the political leverage of Hamas actually is resident in Qatar. It might seem ludicrous given how many people have been killed. I think the diplomacy, certainly from the American side, I think is working quite well at the moment. It's behind the scenes. No one's calling overtly for X or Y. That might come if there's any movement tomorrow when Biden is in Israel. So I think you'll see on both sides, you'll see Hamas at the moment continuing with rocket fire. Of course, you'll see the Israeli going through their what we call joint prioritised target list of Hamas military and dual-use targets, but no overt invasion and no overt escalation from the northern border. That's within tolerance levels when you have the back and fro with a few rockets from Hezbollah at the moment.
What's the worst-case scenario here, Chip, for the British people? If you take this through various potential steps, I don't want to keep people awake at night, but it's the question, actually, that my children keep asking me. And they keep saying, is this going to land on our shores, Mummy? Like, is this coming here?
Well, some of it will come here in terms of increased threats, possibly increased terrorism. I don't want to overplay that because of the psychological factor. We call 2 things, the dread hazard and threat inflation. Your chances, Beverly, or Emily's chances of being killed in a terrorist attack are infinitesimally low. It's still terrible if such things happen. But the fracturing of societies with Jewish kids not being able to go to school, hate crimes and all that, that does fracture society, and that's not good for community cohesion for the future. And while this plays out, all those things will be exacerbated for the future.
Yeah, just division everywhere, it feels, doesn't it? I mean, I've seen, even on a personal level, I don't know about you both, but, friends here, groups of friends who've been united on all sorts of controversial issues for the last 3 or 4 years, suddenly splintering relationships based on this. There's almost no other issue which is as divisive as this, and it's brought about so many emotions, Chip, hasn't it, for people in this country over a dinner table?
That's right, and someone like me who's really an analyst doesn't look at it like that, which is why people often say I'm dispassionate. Of course I am, because it's Aristotle's modes of persuasion. All this stuff is based on pathos, emotion. That's not the way to look at an issue. It should be based on logos, logic, or ethos. I'm an expert, listen to what I'm saying, because I'm trying to tell you what the truth is in reality.
Well, this is when you talk about direct threat and the possibility of lethality is very low, people dying from terrorism very low, but for many people sitting at home, it is just the thought that there are people living in this country who wish us unwell and could be supportive of terrorist action even if they don't commit it or perpetrate it themselves. That is what is extremely uncomfortable for most people.